What's up, guys? Tim Halstead here, and welcome back to the Cleveland History Channel. No, not really, but there is a lot of history in regards to the Cleveland motor right here, sitting right here in front of us. I'll tell you, I've had such an overwhelming reply in regards to the first Cleveland block and then the Pro Stock Mania stuff I got going on with the new Pro Stock build. It's overwhelming, and I want to appreciate you guys for tuning in. So check this out, the Pro Stock Mystery Unravels. So let me give you some insight. First of all, the first Cleveland block. And looking at them right here, here's what you got. The first Cleveland block and the last Cleveland block, the DragBoss 427, all aluminum Cleveland block. So you got from the first to the last and a few in between. With this XC block being here and then my old 409 if I ever get my button gear and get that thing done, which I plan to this week. But let's go back to here. So this is what I found out about this block. This block was for like the 366 program, you know, and I don't know if Indy had something to do with it, but I read that. I got some excerpts I'm going to put on. Actually, I put them on the last video about this. Now, we know that this block is dry deck. It's not a dry sump block, but it's dry deck. I don't know much about dry decks other than the heads don't get water. They're O-ringed, I think, but I'm not sure about that. But it's really to help prevent, in a duration type race, prevent a head gasket from affecting the other cylinders, is what I understand it. And that's from Blake Livingston. He was giving me some insight on that. So, not sure what to do. But I know I was talking about the Pro Stock build. And here's where I'm coming to. The parts I want to use are up there. Whether they were Bob Glidden's, you know, we can't say. Dyno Don, can't say. But I do have, when I do the next video with Pro Stock intakes and cylinder heads, just specifics on all the things I've collected, you'll kind of see where those fit in. And I got some insight on those parts. Now, let's kind of stop with the block here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it now at this point. But this is going to be the basis for the Pro Stock build. And the reason is because that's a Pro Stock block. Here's what I found out about this. I'm just going to call him Fast Eddie. He contacted me on Facebook on Messenger. And we started talking, and he was complimenting me on the videos I have in regards to the Clevelands and Pro Stock Mania stuff and just drag racing in general in Clevelands, because not a lot of people are racing them. There are, but I'm kind of promoting them, and that's what I've done for 39 years. So I bought this block for my buddy Tom Magyar, who works for Ford. He said, listen, I got an XC block, do you want it? I said, you know what, I've been wanting one, so I'll take it. And he sent me some pics of it. And it does have a sleeve in number 5, which I found out the story for on that. But I bought the block, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I wanted to build a Pro Stock motor with it, but then I got this, and the ideas went back and forth. But now that I got contacted by Fast Eddie, here's the scoop. This was his block. He bought 2 blocks. So this is one of the original Motorsport 351 Cleveland blocks that you can bore, I don't know, 80 over for sure. They might go 125, I don't know. But this was the original block. He bought 2 of them at the same time. Now I wondered about that because I've seen another NOS XE block and it had that Rust-Oleum or that primered color paint on it. And I noticed that this had the same thing. So he started talking to me about the block. And that guy was racing like crazy. Different combinations from 327 to 340 to 343 to, you know, every combination in between. And he was racing a similar intake setup, which we'll get to that in a second. But as far as the block goes, he told me about the block and said it was his because he painted these caps, this cherry red, to tell it apart from the other block, which had, I think he said it had black caps that were painted. So then he told me he wrote in a magic marker in here, which I believed him. And he said another thing I want to tell you. This thing was drilled for, I think, a cheater gear drive. And he said, you look at the block and you'll see a couple holes that I drilled and tapped. And sure enough, I looked at it, and I'll put these pictures up. Right here, you can see them. So no one knows about that. And the stuff that he was telling me about this block, that's his block. So this thing, it was a Pro Stock motor right there. Now the story about the sleeve, it does have a sleeve in here. He said he sent it to, I don't know if it was Holbrook or somebody, Carl Foltz, he said, somebody, sent it there to get bored or honed, because it was I think 399, and he wanted a I think he wanted to go 430 with it. But either way, It got bored 430, but one of the bores got screwed up and was like 445 or something. So he didn't want that. So they put a sleeve in it, and he said they jacked the sleeve up when they put it in. He said they had to redo the sleeve, and he said since then that thing's been bulletproof. So that's how it's got a sleeve in it. Right here, number 5. It's the only one that doesn't have the valve notches in it. So this is quite a rare piece in the fact that it's one of the ones that had the sonic check. And he said he has a sheet, he's got to look for it. And we're kind of talking about that, some other stuff part-wise that he may have that I want to kind of build another motor. You know, I got all these heads, I better get going on something. And so that's pretty cool. That's a cool find. He also told me that the cylinder heads that I have back here, the Pro Stock heads, he saw them on the video, and he said that there's a guy, his name was Birdie, and he gave me the address, something off Telegraph Road in Michigan. But back in the day, he was one of the guys to go to. Just like David Sargent told me about that guy. I forgot where he was, up north of Pennsylvania. But that guy could weld any cast iron head like you wouldn't believe. The same with this Birdie. And he said he thinks that that's his work because Roush used to deal with him because he was over there off Telegraph Road too, I think. But it's crazy how this history is coming together. But now that I know that this is the block that had a Pro Stock history, it's going back into service. With this, I'm going to do some fine tuning on this. It's already bored 30 over, so it's like natural to be going 80 over. I think I want to do that because that's what these were made for. That's what that small stroke and that big cylinder bore, 80 over is big on a Cleveland, man. That's when those heads come alive, I'm telling you. And I want to try it out. I want to see what they can do, see what this thing can make. We'll probably get Molnar rotating assembly, and once I get this thing set up, I talked to Bob Beach. He may still be doing this with me. I'm not sure where we're at on that aspect, but really, like I said, this is going to be done. I'm just going to remake those videos. I'll be done this week. Get this thing to the dyno, and I know I've been talking about it for months. It's just the way the things happen with the coronavirus. It's just you lose track of things, and actually I really didn't care. Once I started getting into this build, I realized that my tranny needs some work because I've been talking with Paul Adamanis and Jim Paquette. So now I'm pulling the tranny out of that, and I want to put 5/8 studs in here because 1/2 inch, man, if you're going to make 800 horsepower, you don't want 1/2 inch studs. So now's the time to change it while I got time. So let me give you some insight of where I'm at. I got to throw a shout out to Paul Adamatis. I mean, he's king of C4s. He does a lot of the training work you see that used to be done by Jim Paquette. He kind of took over his business. So we had talked, and I wanted a new tranny brake because he said the one that I have, he knows that I can get a quicker reaction time, and I said I'll pick up some time just with changing the valve body, and it has better pressure circuitry and better main pressure. But look at this thing, man. It's a work of art. I don't want the manual valve to fall out of here. So, and I had one of these once before. I never knew what it was. I ended up selling it for like 250 bucks. But thanks, Paul. I got to give you a shout out for that. This is going to help me get going with the build. And in this case, it has the external solenoid, unlike mine, which is internal. That goes in where the modulator does. That's going to be trick. I got the push rods. I'd already talked about them on another episode. They're going to be fit and set for that. We got the Pro Systems King Cobra right there, 1120 CFM. And I just got to get the work done. I get behind with a lot of projects I got at home, which is really more important than this stuff. So it's tough to do time management, especially with all these projects going on. And now with the Corona coming back, things are limited, and we'll just have to play it by ear. My goal at this point is just get that thing done, get to the dyno. If I can get it in and make it pass this fall, that'll be nice. If not, I'll do it in spring. I'm not going to worry about it. Then I have plenty of time to get the car safe with 5/8 studs and get the training work done. So let me give a shout out to Scott Miller of Illuminu. Check it out. We all love this old intake. This is the old strip dominator. So I'm going to send this to him. He's going to use a vapor mist. He said he might have a hard time getting in there, but you know what? This thing's Just needs a nice appearance. We'll put it up on the shelf. If I get a 69 Mustang with a Cleveland in it, this would be a good street intake for it, you know? So, gotta give a shout out to Scott Miller. Thanks, Scott. You saw that Scott Cook intake. That thing's really looking good. So let me show you this, and I'll bring the camera in, or I'll put a picture of it. But here's a cool setup. This is my A3 intake gasket that's already been ported and fitted for this A3 head right here. And here's a Cleveland 4V intake, the strip dominator. You can see how raised the port is right here. So when you fill up a port on a Cleveland like this, you can see that it's kind of lining up right with that, the floor. So that's how much raised it is here, and it's raised up here. You can see how it's all ported out here. If not, I'll show you a picture on a slide. I don't think this will fit on here, but let's see. There we go. Jesus, look at that, A3, that's crazy. I mean, that thing right there fits the A3 gasket perfect. And that's the high port heads I got. It could be the Glidden or the Roush intakes. Wow, that's crazy. I'll put some pictures in there so you can kind of get a comparison and see what it looks like. And that's what that TFC is. That TFC fits the same way, like a raised intake. Fits filled heads. Because I matched it up with this gasket. So I'll try to get rid of that TFC if anybody's interested in that. But like I said, guys, thanks for coming in, getting this thing done. We'll get it done, I promise, this week, and get this thing to the dyno in the next 4 to 6 weeks is my goal. And I appreciate everyone hooking me up. Paul Adamatis, thank you for that. Jim Paquette, the parts will be coming to you in a little bit. I'll get the axles out. We'll get the transmission out. I should be able to film that if people are interested in it, seeing me take that apart. As soon as that thing's done, then I can start to burn here and cleaning these blocks up. I don't want to get metal filings anywhere near this. I want that project done. Then I can start these blocks, and I'll show you some video of this deburr and this aluminum block, because there's lots of little places that need a little TLC. But I appreciate you coming in, sharing the time here. Subscribe and share, and stay tuned, because I hear Cleveland's make power.